Hey, it's the Fort Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
And welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
Sex.
Today's topic is after a breakup, girls will be checking on you.
That's a great topic. That's a great name. It really flows.
It really came off the end of my tongue pretty smoothly. The point is, this is kind of a continuation of the revenge podcast, that guys are concerned. Guys have revenge fantasies of, different levels. Either, they don't even know the girl, but they know her story, or it's a social circle girl and she kind of rejects them. Mm-hmm. Or it's a girl that they've dated for some time and broke up and he wants some revenge, but all three of them are revenge fantasies. And the thing that Bunny pointed out, which I thought was very interesting, and I did not know this, was all girls check up on guys that they've broken up with. It kind of makes sense because I've seen some evidence of it. I just never put it together. Where girls that, let's say they're mid-20s, late 20s, they're starting to get the baby rabies and the guy's kind of dragging his feet. Then they check on the guy in 3 years and he's like married with a baby. And she's still single. Mm-hmm. And she's mad. She's like, I missed this. How did I miss? He immediately got married and got into a family.
Yeah.
And how would she know?
He just didn't want to marry me.
Yeah, exactly. But tell me about the process. Why and how widespread is that girls always check up on exes?
Oh, it's completely universal. And I think one important point that I always try to make whenever we talk about this is that it really isn't an indicator of how happily in a relationship she currently is.
Is it mostly curiosity?
It's just curiosity. Girls do a good job of, when the relationship's over, it's over. But at the same time, their curiosity still keeps track. So whether she's friends with you on Facebook, whether she's friends with your mom, whether she's just friends with friends of yours, whether, whatever it is, she will see how you're doing in the future. And I really want to drive this point home because men love to reach out and say, what kind of things can I post to make her reach back out to me or regret us splitting up or whatever. And the bottom line is, you don't have to. The best thing that you can do is live your life and make it clear that you're successful, that you're happy, that you're having adventures, that you're surrounded by neat people, and that you're loving life. That's the best revenge you can possibly have.
Let me ask, are these guys usually asking shortly after a breakup? Like hoping that they can get back together? That's
a fair question, but I don't really have context because it could be all over the place. I get that in my DMs at least twice a week.
Right.
And
that's the problem with direct messaging is you don't get the full picture.
Yeah.
And it could be from a foreign country.
Yeah. I gather that it's probably usually relatively new breakups, but it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. But the bottom line is, whether you've been broken up for 5 days, 5 years, or 5 decades, anybody that you were ever in a real relationship with will know how you're doing. You don't need to do anything to point it out to her. She knows. And most of the time, she genuinely just wishes you well.
And when we talked about this, what are the girls in their mind? Wherever the girl is, what is she? She's like, this is how my life could have changed differently.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the first thing that goes through a girl's mind is thinking what her life would have been like had she had stayed with you, for better or for worse. I mean, that doesn't mean it was necessarily would have been better. Because I think that girls also understand that sometimes it's just not a good fit.
there's a trade-off.
You can try to make it fit all you want to, but sometimes it's just not a good fit for the long term. So I think one thing that keeps girls looking, at least initially when you're younger, is like you pointed out, where you didn't want to marry her, but then essentially right after the breakup, you're like almost immediately like married, and there's a kid on the way, and you're happy, and she's like hurt.
Well, sometimes it's the girl that broke up with the guy.
Sure.
Because he either didn't make a commitment, he wasn't aware he was even supposed to make a commitment.
Right.
He didn't know.
That happens.
All the time.
All the time.
She wants to get married, and they've been together 3 years, and he's never even thought of it. He just likes having sex regularly.
Yeah.
And having a girl to go do stuff with. But she's already got a plan. But he's not fulfilling his end of the bargain. But she's never mentioned this.
I was going to say, but he doesn't know the plan.
But he doesn't know that there's a plan in place.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot in your 20s.
It sure does.
And then they break up, and he meets the next girl, and she's like, I want to get married in the, and he's like, well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And he rolls with it.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But that's usually
so true.
That's usually the knockout punch, I think, for a lot of girls is the guy breaks up, and he quickly moves on, whether he broke up or she broke up. Mm-hmm. Quite often it's her.
Yeah.
And starts, what would you say, gathering the things of adulthood with another girl.
Yeah.
While she's kind of like still drinking wine and going out on 10 dates a week. And
and I do think, I think those girls definitely keep pretty almost like stalker level tabs on the exes. The girls who then are like in their 40s and still have not married, no kids.
Ooh, yeah.
They know.
At that point, everybody's moved on.
Ooh, man. But even in healthy breakups, even in healthy relationships, even in healthy people, curiosity does get the better of girls. And they want to know what you're doing. They want to know how you are. And I would say in healthy relationships where the girl is in a healthy relationship already and is doing better and all this stuff, she still is curious, but mainly because she cared about you. She wants to know you're doing well, and is genuinely happy when you appear to be happy.
And here's the thing: it's like for revenge fantasies, and we kind of summed this up on the other call. Was the best thing you can do is immediately drop her.
Yeah.
And any contact with her, and start moving forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And leaving everything behind and moving forward with your goals, your professional goals, whatever that may be, your physical goals, and meeting new girls.
Yeah.
The faster you get your feet back under you, and a lot of times, girls will be malicious and they want you to suffer.
Yeah.
For whatever imagined slights that you made to them during the relationship.
Right.
And the greatest revenge is having moved on very quickly.
Yeah.
Because usually it's the girl. And the guy standing there with his dick in his hands going, what happened?
Yeah.
And they're used to that. They're used to like blindsiding the guys.
Right.
And then when the guy goes, I was thinking that we probably should break up too. Well, I got to go take a shit. You know how to get out. And then he just doesn't contact her.
Right. Exactly.
And that's just, he moves on. And that's the best thing is, it's not recoverable. So you might as well just move forward and start making some progress.
Right.
And that's the best revenge.
It is.
Whatever recovery you do, you just kind of do it in the process.
Exactly. And if you need a little bit of assistance in this, I have written a book on one-itis that's pretty darn good and has helped a lot of people so far. I'd love to help you. If you find yourself kind of stuck and hung up on one particular girl, or you just can't seem to find another one that you feel like stacks up to a girl that you kind of have in your mind, this is a really good book for you. It's a quick read, but it's very effective, and it's got some good I think kind of relatable stories that I think will speak to you as well from all walks of life. So I'd like to encourage you. The link is in the description down below.
And a lot of guys with one-itis don't know what it is.
Sure.
Where they're stuck and they're like unable to move forward. And they think it's just them, or it's never happened to anybody else, or they should just get over it. But it's actually a unique phenomenon that only happens to men. And it doesn't even have to be that great of a relationship.
Right.
You know, it's a psychological, stickiness that has to be overcome. But the first thing is being able to like give it a name, and then you can start working on the solution.
And you don't even have to have had, like you said, you don't even have to have had a great relationship. It doesn't even really have to be someone you were in a relationship with sometimes. Sometimes you can get hung up on the idea of someone and it keeps you pretty stuck. So my book is just a great way to kind of help get past that, and some tools and tricks that kind of will help you move beyond that.
Yeah, you got to have a little distance.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see things properly. And this book helps you get some distance from it.
Yeah.
So that's the real deal. So guys, if you like this podcast, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, share with your friends, and also comment below if you've ever experienced any of this.
Yeah.
Or if you ever notice your ex-girlfriend driving slowly by your house
Seriously.
in the middle of the night.
Well, or, there'll be some 30-minute period when you get like 20 notifications where she's liked all of your pictures from the last 5 years, know, and you haven't talked to her in 6 years.
Normally they'll move like a submarine. You'll never know that they were there.
It's true.
That's their MO.
That's right.
Silent and deadly.
That's how we are.
Yeah.
We want you to win. Bye.